Assalamu alaikum. It is Mubaraka. I am doing my regular Tuesday live. I'm a little bit late, but I am here. So I thought that I would come live today and just sort of talk to you guys about a recap of the powerlifting competition that I did last weekend, not this weekend, last weekend, and what we have planned coming up. So, I did my first powerlifting competition. I'm very proud of myself. It was very hard, and the training was definitely challenging, but I did it. All right. So, first thing is, why did I do a powerlifting competition? So, one of the reasons why I did a powerlifting competition is because YouTube made me. No. So, no, but seriously, I was scrolling YouTube or probably watching one of my podcasts on YouTube or something like that. And it suggested a video of a woman who was 78 years old, and she powerlifted, and she didn't even start until she was 60. And I was sort of inspired by that. I was like, wow, that's awesome that she can lift all of that weight. And I have to look her up and share her video here on social so you guys can see who she is. So that actually inspired me because thought to myself, I'm pretty strong, right? I've been lifting weights for 20 something years now, right? So, and before powerlifting, I don't lift to be strong, right? I just sort of, oh, this has become easy. Let me pick up heavier weights. Oh, that's a little easier. Let me pick up heavier weights. And so I just naturally got myself to lift heavy weights. Then I was like, if I do that just sort of haphazardly, right, with no particular intention, what would happen if I intentionally tried to get stronger? So that is what powerlifting was. It was, let's see what this body can do. And alhamdulillah, every time I went to the gym, not every time, almost every time, very often. I went to the gym and I was actually very surprised as to what my body had the capability of doing. So that is why I decided to do a powerlifting competition. When I began to do the competition, so the first thing that I did, because obviously as a coach, I believe in the importance of coaching, I went and found somebody that knew a little bit more than me. And I went and I found, just so happened, the gym that I attend actually has coaches who are powerlifting competitors. So I was like, perfect, awesome. And so I hired the coaches there in order to train for the competition. So it's coaches because there are 4 of them. I've tagged them in several of my past videos. I'll come back and tag them again. They are all awesome. There are 4 coaches at the gym, and depending on which day you go, will determine which coach you'll be working with. So it was a really good experience because each one of the coaches, what was evident to me, sort of like each one of them had a different way of looking at the training, which was really, really helpful. So one coach made my program. Another coach was really good at helping me develop body awareness. Sort of, this is what your body should feel like when you're doing the lift. Another coach was like, this is what the lift looks like. This is the technicals of the lift. So each one of them actually was really helpful in learning sort of the powerlifting. So as you know, I am a health and fitness coach. I have a degree in exercise science, but each modality of exercise has its own specification. So, HIIT training is very different than powerlifting. Powerlifting is different than Olympic sort of CrossFit style lifting, right? So, each one of those modalities are a little bit different and has certain specifications, right? My expertise is not powerlifting, right? So I went to someone who knows a little bit more than me for the specifications of the types of lifts that I wanted to do. So, what is a powerlifting competition? So, one of the other things about powerlifting, I'm going to tell you the pros and the cons from my perspective of somebody who has had different fitness goals throughout my life. And that's why I always say, um, create your goals and then create your diet and your exercise regimen to achieve those goals. And those goals can change. They can be opposite. If next year I decide I want to run a marathon, I don't plan on doing that right now. But if I did, then my training and my eating would change. So when it came to powerlifting, one of the things that, so powerlifting, let me just say, powerlifting is focusing on brute strength of 3 specific exercises: squats, bench press, and deadlift. You don't have to do nothing else other than that. You don't have to lunge, you don't have to jump, you don't have to run. You just have to lift and squat and press as much weight as you can for 1 repetition. All right. So that is what powerlifting is. So that means that in probably, I think maybe 2 months before the competition, the training got really much more intense in terms of the weight I was lifting. At the reps that I began to lift began to get lower and lower. So in general, the higher the weight, the lower the reps. So if you're trying to lift really heavy, you're not going to do 10 or 12 repetitions at that weight. You're actually going to decrease 6, 5, 2, even 1 rep will be the actual work part of your workout. So it was very different. So how was it different than what I was used to being able to do? So let me compare it to the last time I set a big goal for myself was when I decided that I wanted to run Spartan races. So Spartan races are adventure races where you're, climbing up ropes, going through the mud, shooting arrows, lifting up 70-pound buckets, right? It is a competition of both strength and endurance. So when you're doing training for things like a Spartan race, it's more run, right? Because like the Spartan race I did was a 10K in length, but it was going up a mountain, a 10K going up a mountain. And so I did a lot of running, right? Because I had to increase my endurance. The other thing is that it is about strength, but it's about both strength and agility. So doing things like box jumps was really important. Doing sprints was really important. So you don't just run the mountain, you run the mountain and then you might have to climb a rope or swing across monkey bars. So it's a various things throughout the Spartan race. So that type of training was very, very different than training for a powerlifting competition. Because powerlifting, in order to increase your strength, you need to focus on that specific type of response in your body. And so you minimize things like running or lots of cardio. You still do it because, it's important for cardiovascular health, but you certainly need to minimize it so your body can focus on the mechanism of building strength. So it was 3 to 4 heavy strength training days. The way that cardio was incorporated is like, I think maybe twice a week, I did an 8-minute HIIT or AMRAP right? Very little cardio, which was unusual for me because I'm used to doing cardio. So one of the things that I have found, which is a pro and a con, is although I got really, really strong, I also got really, really slow. I went running this morning and I'm like, I'm gonna die. So I got stronger, but I got slower. So that is, I think somebody asked on Instagram what are the differences that I saw in my body. So that is, I think the main difference that I saw in my body is I got much slower. So I lost some endurance when it comes to like running. I and agility. So one of the videos I think I did like last year, I was able to do a 40-inch box jump. I have not even tried that yet because we're only a week after the competition. But I do not suspect that I can do the same type of explosive movements that I did before. I would like to get that back for sure. One of the other things throughout this competition is I did change and experiment with my diet a little bit more. So when I first started training for the competition, I wanted to be a good client to my coaches. So I was like, all right, exercise, diet, whatever you tell me to do, I'm going to do. And they told me to eat more carbs. Of course. I tried it for 30 days. So I tried it for 30 days. It didn't, I didn't like the way that it made me feel. So one of the differences that I felt in increasing the carbohydrates in my diet is that it makes you want to eat, right? I don't like the feeling of being hungry. And I know that sounds crazy because it's like, hey, aren't you the person that do 3-day water fast? Yes. But the interesting thing is that when you do intermittent fasting and you're used to doing intermittent fasting and you're used to keeping your blood glucose under control and managed, you actually don't feel hunger pains. Like you don't feel like, oh, I'm hungry. It's more like, hey, I have not eaten yet. Let me go choose something that is better, which is one of the things that what happens with a lot of my clients in my program is that you develop a better relationship with food, right? A lot of people are scared of doing things like intermittent fasting because they're like, oh, it's going to teach you to starve yourself. It does not. Anybody who says that have never done intermittent fasting. What it does is it creates a better relationship with your food because it improves your hormone balance, particularly your leptin and ghrelin levels. And when your leptin and ghrelin levels, which is your hunger and satiety hormones, when those are balanced, you don't have cravings, you aren't starved, you aren't eating out of emotions. And then when you go to choose food, you can actually say, let me choose food that is going to actually nourish my body, whatever that means to you. So it actually improves your relationship with food. When I increased the amount of carbohydrates that I was eating, I just felt like, I wanted to eat all the time and I don't like that, right? So I end up going back down. The other difference that I found in my body is that I did put on about I got on the scale this morning. I believe I put on 12 pounds in 4 or 5 months. So I actually have gained some weight. I'm going to say it's muscle. That's my story and I'm sticking to it. So that is another difference that I saw in my body. The interesting thing is that although I do believe that it's muscle. There's no way for me to, tell until I get my DEXA scan next month. But because even though I put on physical scale weight, my waist actually got smaller. All of my clothes fit the same. So like, I'm not busting out of anything. So just as a side note, Muscle is 30% smaller than fat. So if you are decreasing fat and increasing muscle, even though the scale may stay the same or even go up, you will physically be smaller, because muscle is smaller than fat. So, and I just figure, I'm gonna lose it. That's my goal before my birthday. I'll lose the extra 10, 12 pounds that I put on. Um, what else? What other difference that I saw? So I end up settling for the original recommendation from one of my coaches was for me to take my diet to 50% carbohydrates. I literally cannot do that. I could not do that. I actually tried for about a week. Impossible. Like, I'm like, what in the world did I eat before? All right. So I was like, okay, let me try sweet potato. Let me have a piece of bread. It was very difficult for me. So I think at most, maybe I was at 35, 40, but then that didn't even like it just didn't that's just not my vibe, right? I understand the way that my body works. And so I did in traditional Mubaraka style because I needed to understand how my body works in terms of sports, right? So I'm always talking about insulin resistance and PCOS and diabetes, but I wanted to know how my body worked. I have a better understanding of how my body worked in terms of sports and low carb eating. So I went and got a certification in low carb eating for athletes. I am not offering that service right now. Um, but it was an educational experience for me so that I could better understand that. So I have a better understanding of that. And, I became much more conscious of what I was eating and how it was affecting my lifts. And so I got about a month before the competition, I pretty much found stable ground in terms of my eating. So that was an interesting experience during my competition time. So day of competition. So this is how it went. So when I got there at 8 o'clock in the morning, when you get there at 8 a.m., that is when you go through rules briefs. Oh no, wait a minute. Before competition. So I collabed, right? So what did I wear? Y'all saw what I wore. And the reason why I wore that is because Ayana Ife is awesome. Okay. So if you don't know who Ayana Ife is, then you need to go and look at my profile and click on her link. She is an awesome designer. And what I did when I decided that I wanted to do the competition is obviously I'm a hijabi and I can't wear singlet. Obviously, powerlifting singlet is a shorts, no sleeves, and it is not hijabi friendly. So first thing I did, so I'm gonna name drop a couple of people that you might want to go follow. Hopefully they don't mind me name dropping them. But my process was, I was like, okay, we're at a time where organizations are making concessions for hijabis. So what I did was I contacted Kulsum Abdullah. So if you don't know who Kulsum Abdullah is, she actually did an Olympic lifting competition. She advocated for a rule change for her to wear long pants and long sleeve shirt. She literally did an entire dissertation for the committee. And she competed inside the Olympics and Olympic lifting, right? And so I contacted her first and I said, can you show me what you wore, how you made the argument to the organization for being able to lift? I just wanted to be prepared, right? And so she actually sent me her videos and her documentation of what the judges allowed, what she submitted to the judge. I wanted to be prepared, but I am going to give big ups to USPA, United States Powerlifting Association, because I didn't even need all of that. They already have a clause inside of their rule books for people for disability and religious exemption for the powerlifting outfit, right? So that you can change it. So, and they're very specific as to what you wear when you are on the platform. Like literally, when I went in the day before to weigh in, because you got to weigh in before, you have to bring everything that you are going to wear on the platform down to your socks and underwear. So they are very specific, right? Which was surprising to me because apparently the first pair of underwear that I presented to them was not within qualifications. So I had to leave, go to Target, get another pair of underwear, and bring them back for approval, which is crazy, but it was a part of the experience. So they are very specific, right? So but they have a clause. So if you are thinking about an organization that you want to lift for, if you're thinking about doing a powerlifting competition, I lifted for USPA, or in the USPA, United States Powerlifting Association. Again, another name drop, look them up, consider doing a powerlifting competition through them. There are different organizations, but that is the one that I chose because it's the one that it does local competitions and the ones that my coaches are a part of. So the way that I went through the approval, so, and this is just informational purposes for any other person who's considering, men or women, because the singlet is not Muslim man approved either. Muslim men got their own categories of hijab, and no, the singlet, the powerlifting singlet, is not Muslim male hijab friendly either. So this is not just for women. So what I did was I talked to my coach about what type of modification does he think that that I'd be able to do. And then he gave me the email to the head coach in my state. And what I did was I proposed a couple of different outfits. And the way that I proposed them was I took pictures and videos of me actually doing the lift inside of the outfit. And first couple of ones, he was like, no, we can't do that. Right. What's required for them is that they have to see the angle of the hips and the knees, right? Really mostly for squats, right? Bench press, they see your arms going up and down. That's not a big deal. Deadlift, you pretty much, I guess you're not supposed to bend your knees too much, but you could pretty much see that with anything. But it was the squat that really was pretty much the determiner. So first I proposed them what I normally wear to the gym, which is a pair of loose pants and a shirt. And he was like, nah, we can't really see angle with that. So that was a no. And then I ordered a jumper, because that was the next thing that my coach suggested. He was like, I think if it's a one piece, then it's more likely to be approved. So I ordered a jumper, but the jumper was not a workout jumper. It was made from sweatsuit material, but the idea was just to show them what it's like to lift inside of a jumper. It was mad hot. I knew I was not going to compete in that jumper. So but he approved the jumper as an alternative. And then I contacted Ayana and asked her if she would like to collab on this project, because it's something that does not exist, right? So every Muslimah that I've seen to do anything like a powerlifting competition, normally they will put on what looks like a pair of yoga pants or stretch pants underneath a pair of shorts, right? I sort of feel like, me personally, I hate layering stuff. I don't like, it makes me feel uncomfortable. It's too much. So if I can get a one piece of anything, I'm going for a one piece. Right? I do not like layering. One of the reasons why me and Winter aren't best friends. Layer and layer, layer. So I knew that it just didn't exist. And so we collabed together to create the design, the material, all of those things, and did the outfit. So that's how the collaboration worked. If you're interested in um, getting an outfit made, it is custom made by Yana Ife. You can reach out to her and pursue that if that's something that you'd like to do because you compete or you just want to work out in it in a gym. It's like awesome. It's very breathable. It's stretching. It's really comfortable. Like it's like super comfortable. It's so funny because my granddaughter, when she saw me, she kept on rubbing my arm because the material was so soft. I was like, "You like my outfit?" She was like, "Nice, Gemma." So it is Amina approved. So that was the outfit. And then when it came to the day, okay, so now let's talk a little bit about the day of the competition. So the day of the competition, it started at 8 a.m. is when I had to come in and do rules briefing. So I got there at 8 a.m. knowing that my lifting period was going to be between 9 and 1, right? So that is a long time. So here is a little about the nutrition. So when you are doing powerlifting, that requires your body to do explosive movements. You need immediate energy. You don't want to have a really big breakfast and have your body digesting food when it's also trying to produce power. So this is another reason why you don't also just on a regular basis don't want to eat a big meal and then go work out, because your body needs, when you eat, your body redirects blood to your digestive system. So it takes what it can from extra blood in other places and it directs it to your digestive system to help the digestive system to work. When you are doing a workout, your body redirects blood from places like your digestive system into your muscles so that your muscles can move and push power. So when it comes to eating food, you want to give yourself at least a 2-hour window between a main meal and your actual workout. Because if you don't, then your blood supply in your body is competing between digestion and muscles, and neither one of them are going to be working as efficiently as they can. So with that in mind, I did not want to have a big breakfast. So I just had a couple of eggs, right? Just something to sort of keep me going and tie me over. I'm the type of person that I work out on an empty stomach regularly. I feel like I have more energy, also too because I have metabolic flexibility from being fat adapted for so long. My body tends to work better by tapping into its fat stores, right? So if I eat even like a snack before I work out, my workouts are definitely trash after that. That's the way my body works, right? So keeping that in mind, but I will be working out until 1 p.m. So I needed something to be in my system, but not a big meal. All right. So when you do the competition, they have what's called a flight, and that's the group of lifters that you're going to be lifting behind. And inside of my flight, I was in the morning flight. I think it was maybe about 15 people in my flight. And they put your sequence in sequence of how much you lift. So the person that's lifting the lightest amount of weight goes first, and then the spotters put on more weight, and the next person. So I was like 2 from the bottom or something like that. You do 3 lifts, but you do them one at a time, and you get 3 chances to do your lifts. So first one was squat. Everybody does their first squat lift. and then it goes all the way back around, and then everybody does their second lift, and then it goes all the way back around, and then everybody does their third lift. So that's how each lift goes. We did squats first, then we did bench press, then we did deadlifts at the end. So when it came to the squats, what you do before the competition is you tell them what your opening lift is. So that's how they create the sequence. So my opening lift for squats was 275 pounds. And I got to tell you what that is in kilo. Okay, because I know I got a lot of kilo people follow me. All right. 124.7 kilo. So that was my opening squat weight. So I started off at 175, and then my second squat weight was 305. And let me tell you what that is in kilo too. My second squat weight was 305, I believe, and that's 138 kilo. And then my last one was 314. So 314 in a squat is 142 kilo. That wasn't so challenging for me because I pretty much knew that I could do that, but it was the first lift of the day. And so I did not want to sort of like go all out. But 314 was pretty good. 315 is the most I've ever done in training. So also too, when you're determining your lifts, what the coaches explained to me is your first weight that you propose is something that you know for sure that you can do, that you can actually do 5 of those, and you've done 5 of those in training. And so that's always what you consider your opening lift. The second lift is something that you also know that you can do, but it may have been a 1 or 2 rep max in training, right? And then your third lift, you pretty much determine the day of the competition depending on how you feel. So for me, it was a really interesting experience. Why was it an interesting experience? Because I really felt like, oh, this is the competition. So I would lift. My coaches were there, and the head coach, Coach Paul, he's watching the lift, and based on what he sees, because he knows how I lift and what hard looks like, and right, if he sees that it looks easy, he proposed a different weight for the next weight up for me to lift. And so what Paul did was, after I finished a lift, I would come over to him. He would pull out the sheet, because they had a sheet with the different weights that they can put on next. And he would say, that looked, relatively easy. Let's jump 2 categories and lift this amount of weight, or let's do 1 category and lift this amount of weight. And so he was sort of proposing, and I was just being a good client. And I was like, okay, let's do it. Okay, let's do it. And so that's when we went through the squats. So the lift that I failed was inside of my bench. So squats, we did 297, we did 305, we did 314. Now it's time for bench press. So bench press, I open up. So let me say this is bench press. This is not an excuse. This is sort of just like, so you can understand my psyche around it. So bench press is a challenge. That's what I consider my challenge exercise. It's a challenge exercise for a couple of reasons. Number one of the physiological differences between women and men is that women have lower upper body strength relative to our lower upper body strength relative to our lower body. Men are actually the opposite. They have more upper body strength relative to their lower body. So, and that is because of our ability to bear kids. So it's not uncommon for a woman to have a difficult time doing 10 military push-ups or doing a pull-up. It is not uncommon for a woman who can't do 10 push-ups to actually be able to go and do squats holding 100 pounds. Not uncommon. So just because you can only bicep curl with 10 pounds don't mean you should be squatting with 10 pounds. You need to use the strength that you have in your legs. So like the whole adage of, oh, bros don't let bros skip leg day. That's a total bro thing. And the reason why is because men in the bodybuilding community, they have to intentionally focus on leg strength because that is not their natural forte, right? They can do push-ups, pull-ups. You can take a dude probably that's in relatively good shape, but don't really exercise, and put him on a pull-up bar and he can do at least one pull-up because they have a lot of upper body strength. So that's one. Number two, for several years, probably two, I had a shoulder injury, right? That I had to get physical therapy for. That it was like there was a time where I couldn't even raise my arm up to shoulder height. I went to an orthopedic, I went to physical therapy, I had the option of some surgery, I got cortisol shots, I had the whole gamut. So that was like 2 years ago. I finally found a really good PT, physical therapist. His office is actually out of my training studio that I train out of, Coach Ryan, and I shouldn't, not Coach Ryan, I'm sorry, Dr. Ryan. Give him his props. I did physical therapy with him, and for the first time in like 2 years, I was pain free. That's probably why I got excited and decided to powerlift, because after I was pain free with my arm, then I was like, oh, I can push it. And so I know that when I first started training in the bench press, it was all mental, right? I had to get used to the fact that if I press this weight, I'm not going to feel pain, because for so long I felt pain. So when you've had an injury and then you no longer have the injury, it isn't just getting over it from a physical level, it's also going to be sort of like you have to get over that mental block of, oh, I'm not in pain anymore. So bench press is not my strongest point because of that, because I'm still working on that mental block. So when we did bench press, the first, I think I opened up with 135. That one passed. Then I went to 146, I believe. And let me tell you what that is in kilos for my kilo people. 146 kilo is 66.2. 146 pounds is 66.2 kilo, right? And then my third attempt was 158, which is 71.6 kilo. I failed the 158 kilo, or 71 kilo. The reason why I failed it is because when and I posted the video too, so you guys could probably scroll back and look and see if you saw it, because my coach was recording it and he showed it to me. When I went to press up, when I was halfway up, my left arm came down for like 2 inches, and then I pressed the whole thing up. That breaks the rules. So the rule for the lift is you cannot come down until they tell you to come down. So because and I felt it, I did feel it. I felt like this arm being sort of like having a moment of weakness, and then I pressed it. So in the gym, in training, it would be considered a rep because I was able to do it. But because this arm had a 2-inch, 2-second, they red flagged me. So I failed the 158, but I did the 146. So that was also an interesting experience. I was like, what? But I put it on the bar. And they're like, nope, red flag. So that was the bench press. And then last but not least, was my favorite, and I'm so proud of myself for the deadlift. So deadlifts, again, in transparency, is of the three my favorite. Right? I enjoy deadlifting. I feel very secure deadlifting because I feel like it's less risk for injury because I feel like the movement is super simple. And I enjoy doing it, and I enjoy lifting heavier and heavier with that. That's an easy one for me to add weight to. But when my coach told me to add the weight that he wanted me to add, I was like, bruh, bruh, you sure about that? So, first attempt at deadlift was 297. So, 297, again, 297 is 134.7 kilo. So that was my opening lift. And then after that, I believe I went to 305 next. I went to 305, which is 138. And then I know that when I went to, I think 305 is next. Then after I finished, so remember I told you like we like do like almost like a coach huddle after each lift. So after my second lift in deadlifts, and this is the last lift of the day, so it's like after 12 o'clock. And Coach Paul was like, we should go up 2. He was like, that looked easy for you. Let's do 330. I'm like, bruh, I never did 330 ever in training. I was like, I've never done that before. He was like, well, no better time than today. So, and then it was funny because the head Connecticut coach for the competition, he comes over my coach's shoulder. He was like, do it. You can do it. He was like, go for it. You can do it. So he was very excited for me too. So I was like, okay, no better time than today. Let's do it. So we went for 330 and I hit it out the park. I did 330. When I was lifting the 330, I would say like it probably wasn't even a 10 for me. I probably could have lifted a little bit more. So I was actually super excited for myself because that was a personal PR. I mean, it did, set the state record, but it was a personal PR for me. So that was super, super exciting. And so in the end, so I'm going to give you a couple of little tips. If you are over 40 and you want to power lift, go ahead because it's not a lot of us and it's actually really easy to set records. I do not discount the work that I put in. I put in a lot of work. And yes, it was a lot of heavy lifting, both figuratively and literally. But there are not a lot of people who's been around the sun 40 plus times that want to lift heavy weights. So the competition isn't very, very steep. It's steep, but not that steep. Younger people definitely have a little bit more competition. So I got, and also too, they categorize you by both your age and your weight. And so I got a medal for the open. So the open is sort of like everybody inside of my weight category. And then I got a medal for masters. So masters are people who are over 40. And then I got, so those I kind of like, I suspected that I would get. But then I got a surprise one. We were actually discussing where we were going to eat for lunch and getting ready to leave. And someone comes over to me and say, they called you to the stage again. You have another medal. I was like, oh, really? What's this for? So I got a best lifter medal. So the best lifter medal is for, apparently, this is something that is exclusive to powerlifting, I guess, organizations. There is a score. I believe the coach said it's called a DOT score. And it is a calculation between your age, your weight, and the total amount of weight that you lifted that day. And they put it all in and it does its little calculation and it shoots out a number. And apparently that's what I won. So I won best lifter and $100 to go with it. Woohoo! I still got my $100. I ain't spent it yet. I'm trying to figure out what I'm spending on. Super excited about that. So that is how my powerlifting competition and day went along. Oh, I see a couple of questions. So Ashley wants to know, that's very different from Olympic lifting. The order is based on the weight on the bar. So if someone openers is after higher than my last, then they don't start until I'm done. Yeah, so powerlifting works the same way. The person that's lifting the lightest actually goes first, and then the next person who's doing heavier, the spotters just put more weight on and more weight on, so it oh no, oh yeah, so the opener is after the higher. Maybe I'm not understanding the comment, but that's the way powerlifting works. Which lift did I enjoy the most? I enjoyed the deadlift the most because deadlifts is a lift that I enjoy doing. I feel secure in doing it, and I hit my own personal PR. Malika says, "Oh, Malika's powerlifting, guys. Go, Malika!" Thank you so much for the tips and experience. Over 50, going for it next year. Go for it. It is so much fun. And the other thing that I enjoyed about it was, so I'm going to also, give some people some shout outs and credit. When I was doing my weigh-in, right, they've never had a Muslim woman using a newly approved outfit. And so they had to keep calling the head judge over when they had questions. So like I said that during the weigh, so I want to give him his props and I can't remember his name, Mr. Dillon. I don't remember his first name, but he was the head coach that was there, and he used a lot of, I can't describe it more than common sense, even though common sense isn't so common, right? So when they want to see every single thing that you're going to wear on the platform, down to your socks and your underwear, it is because they are determining both safety and fairness and sanitation. So the reason why they didn't approve the underwear that I had is because it was sort of like, it looked more like boy shorts. And they said that the underwear that you have cannot cover any part of the leg because it can be used as support. I guess if you get supportive enough that it helps you with your lift. And so your underwear has to be, it can't be shorts underneath your clothes. So I had to go get different underwear. The second thing was they also want you to wear long socks. So in powerlifting, apparently a thing is people will, when they do the deadlift, they will pull the bar, because when you deadlift, the bar should be literally right on your shins. Sometimes people pull it so close that it scrapes the shin and they bleed. And so you aren't cross-contaminating a bar with blood, which makes sense. Powerlifting requires you to wear tube socks. Your socks have to come up right below your knees, right? So the socks that I had only came sort of what was halfway up my shin. And I knew the purpose of it, right? And so they called over the head judge and they were like, I'm not sure if we can approve the socks, but her outfit actually covers her legs. And so he used his common sense and he was like, The purpose of the socks being so long is so that they can cover your shins, but your outfit covers your shin. Does the outfit come up when you're lifting? Does the pant leg come up? And I was like, no, that's sort of like the entire point. And kudos to Ayana Ife. When we designed it, we used ribbing around the wrist and the ankle, so it does not come up when I am moving. And he was like, well, if it doesn't come up, then you're good with these socks, because your pants are actually going to serve a purpose, which is covering your leg. Right? So I appreciate that, because sometimes people can be so stuck on rules that they don't even think about why the rule was created. So that was actually really a good experience, interesting and good experience for me. But that's it. Let me see if I have any questions on Instagram before I go about my merry way today. All right. What did I eat the night before? And what do you normally eat before I lift? I normally do not eat before I lift. I am a morning a person that works out in the morning, and I find that I have more energy, and I was explaining this earlier, if I don't eat before I lift. So I always work out on an empty stomach. And the night before, I don't know, what did I have? I didn't have anything special. I mean, I think I had chicken and kale, maybe. I think so. I did put it on my stories. What did I have? I know I had chicken. I want to say, I think it might have been barbecue chicken and kale or broccoli, something like that. I mean, I didn't do anything like particularly special or intentionally special before the night before the lift. I just because I like was really being conscious of my food and how it was affecting my workouts the month leading up to my lift. So I sort of knew like I didn't need to do anything special. If I can go in the gym on a regular day and deadlift 315, then I figured that was sufficient enough to do a competition and deadlift 315. So my initial goal when I started the competition was I wanted to be able to squat and deadlift at least 300, and I was able to do that. So I achieved my personal goal. Everything else was just gravy. Yep. All right. Thank you guys for listening to my experience of my powerlifting. Oh, I didn't say what's next. So I don't know what's next yet. So I am going to do another competition. I don't know when I'm going to do another competition. I was talking to my coach yesterday, and he's like, well, you qualify for nationals. So apparently I qualify for nationals. So if I want to do nationals in July, I could do that. Not sure if I'm going to do it yet. I told him, well, we'll just see what happens. Right now, I am enjoying lifting less weight in the gym. So for the next month or so, I'm going to be working out, lifting much less weight, which is a good thing. Give my joints a little rest. And then I will also too, it's going to give me time I want the 12 pounds that I gained in this process. I am going to work on reducing that and also reducing my body fat. If you got a notification on Instagram that I am offering subscriptions, I'm going to share that journey, everything that I'm eating, my workouts, everything that I'm doing with the Instagram subscription. So that is what you will get, special lives. I will post my screenshot of the foods that I'm eating and everything on my Instagram. So that is the next process. So the next process is next 3 months, lean out, try to maintain my strength as I lean out. and then decide probably around February, March, if I want to start training for nationals, which apparently falls in July. So we will see. My coach says that you can compete sort of however often that you want, but he recommends a couple of times a year just to give your body time to sort of repair in between, because leading up to competition is like a hard 3 months. So you don't want to be in competition training all year long. No, I don't. Unless somebody's going to pay me. Now, if you are watching this and you have a company that would like to sponsor me, I'm happy to do another competition in 3 months. I'll take a little time off and we'll just train to get it done and give you all your props. So, being that this is what I'm doing for fun right now, it is not a paid, even though I got paid $100. Wait a minute, hold on. I want $100 for my competition lift, even though I'm not getting paid. So I don't think that I will do it every 3 months. I definitely don't want to be in competition prep, because it got hard. Like the last 2 weeks of competition prep, I was pretty much sore every day that I was going to work out, but I couldn't skip a workout, because it is about repetition, right? If you're going to get good at a lift, you have to be consistent. Consistency is the key to both training your muscles, because your muscles have memory. So you want to literally train your muscles to do the lifts and do them in proper form. Your muscles have memory. So if you keep lifting in the wrong form, you eventually injure yourself, because you're not lifting in the right form and your body is defaulting to improper movement. So being able to lift these heavy lifts in good form, knowing that I'm in good form, having an outside eye to make sure that I am in good form was really the key leading up to the lift. But repetition. If you want to do a heavy squat. If you want to do a heavy deadlift. If you want to do a heavy bench press. You just have to be consistent. But definitely, like, the last 2-3 weeks of training was it required dedication. Let me just say that. Because when you get up and your first movement after making Fajr is going into a downward dog. So basically, after I make Salat, I do my Zikrs, which you do in a what looks like a what do you call it? Oh, what is that move called in yoga? So in Jalsa, when you're sitting, so this is okay. So this is going to be a little Muslim tip, right? One of the things that I found really helpful as a morning stretch, and I do this in the morning, is after I make my Fajr and I am doing my Dhikr, right? You're sitting down in Jalsa. I will literally widen my knee stance to drop my torso in between my legs in Dhikr in that position, because I'm going to be there anyway. And it is such a great stretch for my lower back and my knees. It is such a great stretch. So I do that every morning now. Then when I'm getting ready to get up to leave the masala room, alhamdulillah, I'm an empty nester, so now I have a masala in my house, which I'm super excited about. I literally just go into downward dog. I go into downward dog for like 30 seconds, and then I walk my hands back and I stay bent over with like a toe touch sort of move, and before I get up and start my day after I make Salat. So that little 3 to 5 minutes of stretching in the morning is so important. Really, it is really, really important. So it really helped me in this process. All right, that was my last tip. It's already 12:20. I got work to do. All right, I'll talk to you guys later. Assalamu alaikum.